Are the Huawei MateBook D15 good? The Huawei MateBook D15 2020 features a quad-core AMD Ryzen 5 3500U processor, 8GB RAM, and 256GB of storage right now for £59,999, roughly $780, 1,200 Australian dollars. This price places the Huawei MateBook D15 2020 firmly in the mid-range camp. These are laptops that perform better than budget laptops, but lack the most powerful components and high prices found with premium and high-end models. The laptop has the same specifications as the 15-inch model, but with a smaller screen and a larger 512GB SSD. It is clear at the very outset that Huawei has set out to design a mid-range laptop with a design that you would expect to see in more expensive laptops. Let Dell, Apple and HP compete to create the most powerful and expensive laptops in the world while Huawei rethinks what a mid-range laptop should look like. With the gray aluminum design and the size and shape of the keyboard, it is evident that the Huawei MateBook D15 2020 was influenced by the Apple MacBook. Were it not for Huawei's branding and the absence of a touch bar, we would almost be forgiven for thinking that this was an Apple product. Size-wise, the Huawei MateBook D15 2020 measures 14.08 by 9.05 by 0.66 inches, 357.8 by 229.9 by 16.9 millimeters, which is slightly larger than the MacBook Pro 15-inch of 2019, which measures 13.75 by 9.48 by 0.61 inches, 34.93 by 24.07 by 1.55 centimeters. In addition, for the model with a hard drive and SSD, the weight is 1.62 kilograms, and for the model with an SSD only, the weight is 1.53 kilograms. A number of MacBook models have the touch bar, a thin OLED touchscreen that runs along the top of the keyboard and displays a variety of buttons depending on the application you are using and the task you're performing. The Huawei MateBook D15 2020 lacks this feature, which is understandable, given its price, but it does have a power button with a built-in fingerprint sensor. It's a great feature to use a fingerprint to sign into Windows 10, and the Huawei MateBook D15 2020 has the added benefit of reading your fingerprint when you press the power button. Your fingerprint is securely saved as the Huawei MateBook D15 2020 boots, then used to log into Windows, so you don't need to repeatedly enter your password. It's a small thing, but it makes using the Huawei MateBook D15 2020 a lot simpler. There are impressively thin bezels surrounding the Huawei MateBook D15 2020. This lends to the overall premium and modern appearance of the device. However, this does result in the webcam not being situated on top of the screen. Instead, it is integrated into the keyboard. Between the F6 and F7 keys there is a button with an icon of a camera. Among the Huawei MateBook D15 2020 configurations, there is a single model featuring a quad-core AMD Ryzen 5 3500U processor, 8GB RAM, and 256GB of storage. Anyone familiar with laptop specifications will be able to immediately tell that this laptop will not break any records when it comes to performance. Despite our preference for Windows 10 laptops to carry 8GB of RAM as a minimum, the 256GB SSD is a bit on the small side. You may run out of space if you have lots of big files, such as videos and music. Games are also out of the question, since there is simply insufficient space, and the hardware of the Huawei MateBook D15 2020 couldn't run them if it tried. Huawei has approached the MateBook D differently, equipping it with an AMD Ryzen 5 3500U processor rather than an Intel chip. We're happy to give consumers more choices, but AMD is gearing up to release the Ryzen 4000 series of chips, which promise considerable performance gains over the 3000 series, including the Ryzen 5 3500U. During our battery benchmark test, in which we looped a 1080p video full screen, the Huawei MateBook D15 2020 lasted nearly 5.5 hours. Although that's not bad and should last you all day, there are a few caveats that make us less than thrilled. First of all, this is just looping a video, which isn't the most taxing of tasks. If you're also going to be browsing the internet, editing photos, and writing text documents, that battery life will quickly diminish. In our tests, the MateBook D fell far short of Huawei's claim that it would last 13 hours on a single charge of its 56Wh battery. In addition, we are seeing an increasing number of laptops with battery lives in the double digits, including some with longer battery life of over 20 hours. A 5.5-hour battery simply does not cut it anymore. Huawei promises that the official charger will provide you with 4.5 hours of battery life after 30 minutes of charging.